Welcome to another edition of the Sales and Marketing Power Hour with your host, Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing and Kimberly Mackey with New Home Solutions Consulting.
We are live.
Welcome, welcome.
Yes, welcome. We should have lots of people coming on this one. Carol, I don't know about you, but I'm a little scared.
I'm not scared. I like people.
I like people too, but this topic scares me a little bit.
Yeah, I just want to thank Carol and Kimberly for bringing us on for a very relatively easy, smooth topic of all topics.
Of all topics. Yeah,
this one will be really smooth. Yeah, thanks.
We have some fun folks on here too. I'm looking at people coming in here. We've got some of our tried and true. We've got some Atlanta folks here. I see Meg here and Dina here and Gabriella, who works on my team, and Carol Jones, who's not from Atlanta, but from Michigan's on here. So hello. Brian Kennedy from Atlanta's on here. Got my friend Alma Jacobs here. This is a great crew.
All right.
Everybody wants to know what you guys have to say about the subject.
Oh, God.
I want to know what they have to say about the subject. I'm remembering to turn on the slides now, everyone. So
we only have a few, as you can see.
Yes, just a few. So I should start reminding me to do that before we get so involved in our pre-show.
All good. I mean, this will be a fun discussion. Or as Keith says,
absolutely,
a successful one.
Mike from the Lou. Yes, I knew you would be on for this one, Mike. This is a subject that's near and dear to our hearts, is it not? Yeah, and we look forward to your participation. And why is this? There we go. Whew.
There you go.
Just say you were there and then you were not. So
I don't know. I
was waiting before I said, "Hey, coffee. Kimberly, pay attention."
I had too much coffee.
Kimberly, where are you originally from?
Oh, I love that question. I am from Tennessee. But I've been in Florida for 30 years. So, and with my travels.
How is that possible? You moved to Florida when you were 6?
I did. I was a child prodigy and graduated college early and then moved to Florida. So,
when you were
yes.
6. Okay.
And I was a child bride because I got married and moved to Florida. But if you want me to talk like where I'm from, I can talk like this because I'm from Etowah, Tennessee.
Do that very well anymore.
I don't do it very well, but I do say y'all when I cross the state line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the irony of it is that I'm from very close to where Kimberly's from. I'm from Powell, Tennessee, Powell, but everybody there pronounces it Powell, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. So if you smile when you talk, you get kind of close to that. I can't do it anymore either. I've been in Georgia forever, and Georgia's much more of a melting pot than East Tennessee.
Yeah.
So
Georgia really is becoming a melting pot. It's amazing the demographic changes in and around Atlanta. That's yeah.
Awesome.
So
here to lose your accent.
Yeah, well, or just create some sort of hodgepodge. So I have a couple minutes after look at that. Carol,
go Powell Panthers. There you go.
Nice.
I feel outed there.
It's a couple minutes after, so I think maybe we should get started. And even though our two esteemed guests probably need no information or introduction, we will endeavor to do that. So let's roll a little bit forward here. Carol, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I'm Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing. We are a strategic marketing agency focused on content creation. Most of what we do is strategy, blogging, social media, email marketing, and lots of media relations still, which most agencies don't do. So we love getting our clients in the paper and on online pubs and, every now and then on TV and radio if applicable. So that's what I do. Your turn, Kimberly.
All right. Well, I am Kimberly Mackey. My company is New Home Solutions Consulting, and I am a sales and marketing management consultant. And I stress the word management because that does differentiate me from a lot of my peers. A lot of people think that I'm a sales trainer, And I guess I am, because I have to train people after we implement the systems behind the scenes. But I'm more of an immersion consultant. I like to say that I am the person who comes in and makes sure that sales is the engine that drives the train rather than running it off the tracks. And currently, which is a really odd thing, so I'm going to throw this out there in case anybody is looking for any of this assistance. If your sales team is struggling to keep up, you're having pipeline management issues, I have an outsourced management opening, which I rarely have. Usually it's the opposite. I usually double up more than I mean to, but I had a couple of projects that have been pushed back. So I do have an opening for that, and I only do 2 at a time. So again, it's very rare for me to have that, but if you're looking for that, I do have that opening right now. So reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you. So, and then let's move forward with our guests. I am so excited to have the 2 of you. So Melanie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thanks again for inviting me to be a part of this panel and for just considering me to be a part of the Power Hour. My name is Melanie Mickie, and I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing for Rockhaven Homes. I have been in this industry, for almost 20 years now. Have sold and managed in 4 major markets throughout the country: Minneapolis, Washington, D.C., Tampa, St. Pete, and now here in Atlanta. So great time to be in the industry, of course, but have seen the ups and downs in the meantime. So great to be a part of this discussion and hear what else everyone else has to say. So thank you for having me.
The 4 hottest markets in the U.S., those are the ones? Nice.
Yes, yeah. And, I shared with Carol, I was like, yeah, I've sold everything from and managed everything from the homeless man to the congressman. So I've definitely dealt with my array.
Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, right? And then of course we have Mr. Keith McKinney, the rock star, the literal rock star. You have to throw that in, Keith. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. Keith McKinney, almost similar to Melanie, been in this business roughly 20 years now. Feel oddly strange saying that. Okay, but 20 years now. Been with New Home Star for 12 years, founded by Dave Rice, and 12 years ago. So pretty much been with him since the beginning. And just like Melanie, started out on the sales floor, worked my way up through management in Texas, and then joined New Home Star, and then started one of our first divisions in Colorado Springs 12 years ago. Today, we are in 27 states, operating 35 different markets. We sold over 6,500 homes last year. And continue to expand and grow. And as New Home Star, we are a integrated sales solution for new home builders and developers across the country. So I'm excited to bring a different perspective to this conversation today.
So, well, welcome. And you forgot the rock star part.
Okay, what rock star part are you
the music like put out these videos and these songs now.
Okay, like I don't know what. Okay, so yes, as a side project, and it's not a side project, my brother was a lifelong musician and passed away a couple years ago. So in his honor, I produced and created and have putting out an album on his birthday, March 21st, so in a couple of weeks. And so that's been a labor of love. So yes, that is done, and we're getting ready for that.
With a voice like butter.
Very cool.
I know. I told you. Yeah, very, very cool.
Very cool. Well, we're going to jump in and talk a little bit about the state of the market, I think.
Well, we have to go ahead and do our next
one. Okay, we're doing
that
next.
We have to do our promo first. So we are going to, because Carol and I like easy topics. We're going to be talking about a buy now button next time. So that should make everybody nervous and excited all at the same time. But we're very fortunate to have our friend Greg Bray from Blue Tangerine joining us, and Matthew Slutsky from Buzz Home out of Toronto. So we're going international again for our next one. So make sure you mark your calendars for April 16th. And If you're registered for this one, you may have already registered for that, but double check just to make sure that you're not going to miss out on it. And of course, as always, we're recording. So if you do miss something, if you want to share with anybody, we will be sending out the recordings. You should look for that email automatically coming from Zoom tomorrow. So
So with that, let's talk a little bit about the state of the market. And we'd love to know, in the chat, what you're seeing as well. It's kind of interesting. Web traffic was out the roof in January for the most part. Now it is interesting. We saw quite a bit of moderation in most of our clients' web traffic in February. Although there are a few clients that we represent that had higher web traffic in February than January. So it's still a little bit off the board, but February traffic in general looked like it was moderating, and it's still up over last year, but a little bit more normal than January. There was nothing normal about January. And I think that Keith and Melanie will agree with that. The other thing that we've seen, and interested in seeing if you guys are seeing this as well, interest rates went up a little bit, and because of that, sales moderated in February. So we're in a very, very price sensitive market. So despite all this huge demand, you really still have to have, that product, place, price, promotion, everything has got to line up. And if one of those 4 Ps is out of line, then you're going to still miss the sale. And price is something that all of today's buyers are very sensitive to.
Yeah, I was on a call yesterday and with builders all across the country, and it was really interesting. The freeze in Texas created even more of a supply side crunch for us.
Interesting, yeah.
So anything that has resins in it is now we're struggling. So that's the coatings for your appliances. That's the coatings for your garage door. It's the stuff we use to put the OSB together. So the oriented strand board, if we have realtors on here or aren't familiar with our construction jargon, and I also heard insulation has now had what was the number they get? 14% increase. So, I mean, just absolute insanity. Roofing in Florida, I knew that roofing was crazy in Florida because Florida insurance has now decided that they're partnering with the roofing industry, and every 10 years you have to put a new roof on your house, whether you need it or not. Now, how stupid is that? But
we're absolutely in unprecedented times right now, right? I mean, the uncharted territory all the way across, all the way around.
Right.
I mean, as far as web traffic is concerned, we've seen an increase in web traffic, and actually since the beginning of the year, and each week over week, we've seen an uptick. Also, obviously, have seen an uptick in the sales as well. But with inventory being low, and at an all-time low, right? And with people being interested and still interested in purchasing, we still have low interest rates as well. I mean, yes, we've had a slight uptick, but let's keep it real, right?
Right.
It's still low.
And with Rockhaven, you've got 12 new communities you're opening this year. So I think part of that with your traffic is going to continue to go up because you have something that lots of other builders don't have. You've got some supply.
Yes, exactly. Well, we've got lots available, right? And we're building. So, but Kimberly, like you said, the product, there's a product shortage. We've got cost increases that are out of this world right now. So yeah, there's an we're experiencing just some really strange things happening in this market, but every day.
Can I dive in and give you a perspective on this shortage thing?
Oh yeah.
Because we always talk about the big items, the sheetrock, the lumber, and all that. But it's been curious to talk to the multiple of builders and then talk to the trades of those builders. And when everything first happened last year during the pandemic in China, well, we think of all the big things, but have you ever looked at the brackets where they put our joist in and everything? If you actually look on those brackets, it says made in China. So when we had a stop on the supply chain on shipping, then they had to turn to other supply houses in Mexico. And then the Mexico plants for the same bracket was charging higher rates
Wow.
And so now that the trade has opened back up from China and they're getting their factories up and running again, but now there's a price war. Like, and so now you got this thing that's happening. So we always think in terms of sheetrock and lumber, but think about all the incremental things, the nails, the brackets, the bracings, anything metal, and all that stuff that if you went to Home Depot or Lowe's or any place and saw made in China, made in Mexico, any of those things where builders get our trades would get their materials in order to make the materials we need to build a house, all that is making its way up to the builder, to where now it's not just the big lumber cost, but it's all these other little costs that gets mixed into there as well.
Not to mention the slowdown in being able to create the supply. I mean, there are ships literally parked off of our ports because we can't process them through the ports.
Right.
Because of, and I obviously, as the vaccine rolls out, these things will sort themselves out, but any shortage or hiccup like that just has such a ripple effect.
Right.
People don't take into consideration. And so, Melanie, you mentioned that you have home sites, which is great because a lot of builders are worried about their home site burn. But how far out are you for starting a home or completing a home? We lost you there for a second.
Okay, can you hear me now? Am I okay?
Yes.
Oh, now we can, yeah.
As far as build time, that has changed, right? And it's, well, we were able.
We're having some technical difficulties there.
Build homes within 680 days in some.
I think that I heard her said they can build within 100 and, oh, you're back there. 180 days?
Okay, so now, I mean, our build time frame, our typical build time frame is within. However, I'm back out. I'm gonna come back on, okay?
So yeah, and we'll let her deal with her technical difficulties. And Keith, how about your builders or those with home sites? What's their time?
I can definitely speak to that. Funny thing, Kim, it is not about the actual build time from the time they start the house. Let's clarify.
Right.
It is the process of getting the permits done through these cities and municipalities, and getting all the paperwork and the surveyors back out and everything. It's that process that's taking up to like 4 months sometimes.
Right.
And now once the permit comes out and the builder starts building a house, now do we have more projects to work on? Absolutely. So what used to take 120 days is now what, 155 to 160 in terms of actual days of construction. But the pain right now, which is, Kimberly, I know you're dealing with the customer experience, that time from contract to you start the house is painful right now. And
pipeline management,
with managing that when it's 5 months and there's nothing happening, and the customer's trying to say, calling the salesperson saying, and the realtor community like, hey, when are you going to start my client's house? And we're like, and the salesperson's like, it's in permitting, like, and it's a struggle right now.
And I think to that point, I was talking to a builder yesterday, and one of the things is when the on-site agent doesn't have anything to say because there's nothing new, that's really exacerbating the problem, because the on-site agents are just like, well, I don't have anything new to say. Why am I talking to them? You got to talk to your people. You got to talk to the realtors, even if it's, hey, no news yet, haven't forgotten you, still love you. But we're working through it. As I told you, this is a process, uncharted waters, So we had some chatter going on.
Some really good chatter. Yeah.
Yeah, Carol, you want to tell us about Nathaniel?
Yeah, so Nathaniel says they have homes sitting on the ground they can't finish because they can't get the materials to complete them. So now they're missing completion deadlines and not closing homes in the quarter they're supposed to close them in. And I'm sure that creates lots of frustration. So
Yeah. And that is so real. And, it's one thing we've been telling all our agents is, if you're like, I know we used to say, hey, don't give your customer an exact date, give them a closing month.
right.
We're now telling them to give them a closing season.
Oh,
like,
wow.
like legit, like, it's like, hey, looks like you're going to close this summer. Like, or, hey, it looks like it's going to be in the fall.
But it
almost
makes
like,
it, yeah, it's
it's
so
like you're going back to
hard.
college. When are you going to college? In the fall.
I just think that it'll be interesting to see, because I know if I were buying a home and I have a home to sell, obviously, if I were moving, that would be completely frustrating to me. Oh, you're going to close by Christmas. Well, but when? So where do I live between now and then? And I just think we're going to have people drop out of the pipeline. And of course, I guess to some extent, maybe we've got so much demand, it doesn't matter.
Well,
But
and that's the case, is that there's so much demand. There's nothing else for them to look for.
Right.
If they do find something else, they're going to still have to wait, potentially, right?
Unless it's a resale. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So
even with that, they're losing out. I mean, people are overpaying for resales right now.
Exactly.
And for the realtors on the call, I got a phone call 2 weeks ago. I never thought in my career I had a builder call me and say, Keith, and it was like March the 3rd. And he said, Keith, I got a favor to ask from you. And I braced myself for it. Like, okay, I got to go get on a plane. Like, this is going to be, he said, stop selling houses. Like, literally, a builder called me to tell me to stop selling houses because his own production line, his own production process and system was so overrun that even bringing in a contract and putting that in the pipeline was like giving him high anxiety. So of course, through some counseling, I told him how that was not a good strategy.
Not a good idea.
But I just advised the builder the same thing this week. I said, look, we gotta talk about this. And these two communities, we're too far ahead. This is too dangerous. You don't know what the pricing is going to be. You're going to resell these homes 3 times. It's going to turn. They have an incredible relationship with their market area, and their reputation is extraordinary. I'm like, don't destroy that, because just because you have a sale on paper doesn't mean it's a real sale. It's not a sale until we get it finished and they close and we give them the keys and that U-Haul is pulling up. That's when it's real.
Right.
And we got to keep that in mind, because it's not just the start of the process. We got to get to the end.
Yep.
Well, let's dive into some of the ugly. So, and I'm just going to play devil's advocate and go straight to Keith. Keith, the one thing we're hearing nationwide is that builders are cutting commission to resale agents or to co-op agents. And to me, I get that maybe they're trying to be more profitable, or maybe they're trying to slow down the pipeline, but I feel like that's just cutting off your nose to spite your face, because I know in Atlanta, we're looking at, depending on the builder, 70 to 85% of our sales are through co-op agents that we've spent years cultivating. So why on earth is this a good idea, and why do we see it happening?
Okay, so contrary to,
I know, I'm sorry, putting you in the hot seat.
I had to like wipe and sweat them. Contrary to what a lot of the real estate community, like these builders, most of the time in their heart, they're really good guys and gals. They really are good people, and they get to a point where they make a very good profit margin and they're comfortable. That was 2018, 2019, and then 2020 happened. Right now, that it's just about achieving balance, and these costs are going up. And so when you see these price increases are not, for most builders, it's not for them being greedy, right, or anything like that. They are trying to account for all this rising costs. And so when they raise these costs and they're looking at the cost of materials and trades and everything else, the one thing that they're trying not to do is, in all these price increases, is pass this cost completely over to the customer. And if we're always saying, oh, the customer comes first, where the builder's trying to put the customer first and not pass this all to the customer. Now, in the same time, I've been in the seat where the builder calls me and says, your agents aren't doing enough realtor events. We need the realtor community to come out so we can sell these homes. So the builders know they need the real estate community as part of the solution, but they're trying to figure out a way, does the customer bear the entire expense of this raised cost, or is there a way to spread it amongst all the players, all the stakeholders that are involved? And unfortunately, one of those stakeholders on 70% of the sales is the real estate agent that is bringing the buyer. So that is where the builder is looking at the commissions paid out, and that is their lens that they keep trying to look in and try and find, is there ways that plays a part to where we're even having this discussion today.
Yeah, and Melanie, how do you feel about that?
Absolutely disagree. I mean, I understand your point. Absolutely understand your point. But when it comes down to it, the real estate community can oftentimes be the lifeblood of a community, right? I mean, granted, we're in a fantastic selling cycle here, right? And selling home after home after home. But we're all in this to make money, right? Realtors didn't get into this for charity. It's not a nonprofit organization that they belong to.
Well, some realtors are running a nonprofit organization. So according to the National Association of Realtors, 6 transactions a year does not a career make. So
there you go. There you go.
But none of those people are on this call.
No.
So.
But when they're taking these costs into account, that absolutely needs to be taken into consideration, that, hey, the realtors have ready, willing, and able buyers, right, who can purchase our homes. And we've taken the time to cultivate these relationships. We've taken the time to nurture those relationships with the real estate community. And to cut the commission, yeah, that's a slight on them. And when the market does turn, because it will, those agents are going to remember that.
Yeah, guess whose homes they're not selling.
Yes.
Right. They're going to remember that. So,
those memories are very long. We had some builders in our market here that years ago either didn't pay commissions or cut commissions, and for years it wasn't the chatter wasn't, oh, they don't pay the right commission, or they did. It was the quality of their homes is not good.
Right. Well, Kimberly, you and I both worked for a builder in upstate New York who had cut commission and didn't have a program to work with realtors. And it took them years to dig their way out of that, because it just was so much bad blood. You know, they could choose to show anyone's homes they wanted. So guess whose homes didn't get shown?
Exactly.
Yeah, and right now, builders, you know, in the conversations, we kind of came up with this acronym. I swear we come up with more acronyms than a government lobbyist convention.
We like those.
But builders are trying to come up with their RPV, their realtor procurement value. And they absolutely want to reward and celebrate any realtor that's bringing a buyer to them. But to what you just said, Carol, and what you just said, Melanie, then we kind of create this own thought bank in the builder's head that gives them this mind war where, well, you just told me all our traffic is on the internet, is on our website is spiked way high. So if they're coming to the internet, then my procuring cost comes through the internet, not through the real. So then builders get in their own mind on that. And that creates this conversation where they pick up the phone and call Carol, Kimberly, Keith, and Melanie and say, hey, I'm thinking about cutting commissions. Like, because they read all the data on how people are coming to them, and that it allows them to get in their own head and look at things through a different lens.
Well, and you and I have been in this business, so all of us have been in this business long enough to remember the 2007, 8, 9, where the builder was literally making a smaller check or writing a check at the closing, and they were paying the real estate agent because they needed them so much. So, and that did cause some resentment. I mean, I heard that. It's just unfortunate that we treat these two industries as silos because they really are two parts of a whole.
Yeah, like I say, there's some really interesting comments here in the chat, Kimberly.
Yeah, and funny thing is, y'all allow me. I just saw Nathaniel post.
Yeah.
I just saw his comment. And
do you want to read it and then address it?
Yeah, sure. And Nathaniel, hey, number one, thank you for being honest and open, clearly as a builder. And I will tell you, I'm in conversations just like this where Nathaniel says, as a builder, when I'm spending 4% of my budget on in-house marketing, putting the word out, and then we're managing the sales process in-house, the only thing the co-broke agent is doing is referring their buyer to us. What is the fair price for that? What is the RPV, the realtor procurement value? What is the fair price for that? I'm having a hard time saying that is worth 3% of the price of the home. And Nathaniel, number one, thank you so much for sharing that. And that is a true sentiment of division presidents and builder owners all across America, is because their fear, here's their fear: customer finds builder, then customer finds home site with builder, then customer goes and finds realtor.
So that's a different process, and that's a different problem altogether.
But that's what the builder is fearful of, and that's what Nathaniel was saying, is it's that fear that, okay, if that's stop that.
He says, preach, brother, preach it.
If that's what's happening, that is the fear. And if we could, and I say as a sales operation, as a sales team, as a realtor community, if we can communicate to the builder the times when that is not the case, and that it is realtor finds customer, realtor and customer finds builder, I think Nathaniel and every builder out there is welcome to spend the normal commissions for that real estate agent. So it's
a registration process, though. It's your manage your registration process, people. I can't say that enough. Yep. So if you and realtors who are on here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to call out the snakes, and I'm sure none of them are on this call.
They're not.
No, because they're not paying attention to this, but you've seen them and they're hurting our industry on the real estate side. Yeah. If they're in your parking lot handing out their cards, kick them out. We do not need those kind of snakes. So these are not procuring causes. If you've got realtors who are offering rebates, they don't care about their own commission. So why should you care what you pay them? So I'm just going to say that. But a good educated realtor who, you're right, the buyer, 97% of people start their home search with, this is the latest National Association of Realtors survey. 97% of buyers start their home search, but 85% of buyers use a realtor.
Right.
And the reason they do that is the internet is not holding your hand.
Nope.
The internet is not picking you up at the airport. The internet is not telling you about the school system and the community and driving you around and getting you acclimated to the community and being your eyes and ears when you can't physically be there. And many of our buyers are buying sight unseen right now through realtors to be their eyes and their ears. That is worth something. What is that worth? It's worth what the market will pay, because the market always sets the price. So the answer to the question is, to Nathaniel, is, what is that worth? It's worth what the market says it is. So is the market says it's 3%, and we never want to fix commission rates. So, right, that's the tradition in that market. Then pay the market rate to attract the most realtors. If you want to attract fewer realtors, you can pay less, but you will attract fewer realtors.
Right.
And just remember, if you're doing that, you're doing it for the long haul, because this isn't a 2-month fix, because that 2-month fix is going to be a black eye for you if you're considering that. So I get it. I get the cost thing. I get the whole supply and demand. I was a business major.
I was gonna say, you're talking economics 101 here.
Yeah, supply and demand. I get it, but a good educated realtor is your best resource
Yeah, as a quick disclaimer, I am sharing the views of builders.
Yeah.
Please do not
Yeah,
I'm
no
a
hate mail
sales
to
guy.
Keith.
Please do not mistake that I am literally helping our conversation.
Yes.
I should also disclose, because I think I forgot to do it at the beginning, I do run a builder relations program and have for 11 years for one of the largest Berkshire Hathaway franchises in the country. We have 30 builders in this program. We did $130 million in new home sales last year alone, because we educated our realtors. They have to go through an intensive training program and to get their new home specialist certification. And I mean, when I say it's intense, and I put 42 through it a couple of weeks ago. So I do walk in both worlds. But I'm a builder at heart. I always will be. And I get it. I get the frustration because of those bad apples and those bad players in the market. But, one bad apple don't spoil the whole bunch, people. It just doesn't. Melanie, on that note?
No, you nailed it. Actually, I'm looking at my notes. I'm like, she said that, and she said that, and she said that. But no.
I see. I have a couple of mine on here. The fan club is going in the chat. Thank you, Randall.
The realtors, it's a partnership, right?
It is a partnership.
And we, as sales managers, we need to make sure that we're enforcing the right registrations, right? Making sure that they're vetting the prospects who are walking through the door. And then when they do bring those realtors and agents in, they need to make sure that they're holding that realtor accountable throughout the entire building process, not just dropping them off. No. They need to be there before contract, at the time of contract, after contract, and all the way through the closing. And it's got to be a symbiotic relationship between both the agent and the realtor, or the salesperson and the realtor. So and making sure, we talked about setting the right expectations earlier, right? Making sure that every single week they are contacting those agents and making sure that they're in the loop just as much, and making sure that they're helping guide the customer through the process so that they earn that 3%. Because there's nothing worse than a realtor who parachutes.
I love you. Oh, that was beautifully said.
And Kim, if I could give for the realtors on this call, if I could give you a strategy, is make sure whatever builder, if you take people to multiple builders, make sure not just that salesperson, if they're doing a lunch and learn, if they're doing stuff, I know sometimes our schedules get busy and maybe you don't have a client today, make sure those divisions, those builders know you by name.
Yep.
Because I can tell you, my salespeople brings in a contract and it says Melanie Mickie on it, and the division president goes, "Oh, Melanie, yeah, she was at that lunch and learn. Okay, like division presidents will know the realtors." And that might have been Melanie's first contract that she handed, but she's been to 3 or 4 lunch and learns, and her name has been ringing in the halls of the builder office. So, like, take advantage of that, because I see guys like Nathaniel. Like, if Nathaniel knows that there's a realtor that's coming to his events, doing work for him, and they bring in the first deal, he's going to feel a whole lot better about paying a commission when he knows that he's seen the name and knows who you are a little bit.
Right.
So,
versus that person who just comes in off the street that he's never heard of before.
Right. And it's accompanied with a story of, well, they called the OSC team and they didn't say that they were represented by anybody initially, but they did show up with a real, then you give the builder anxiety. And that's when it gives conflicted. But if they hear your name and they know your name, doesn't mean you have to have a client today. But if you start to get involved with these, and if there's new realtors, this is what, Kimberly, I'm sure you tell them, go out there, go to stuff. If you're getting started, you got to get started somewhere.
And it's easy to go to events. If you're a realtor, when you're out there, you know, it's easy. That's the easy time to go. It's easier to go farm your builders at that time because they're literally rolling out the red carpet and they feed you. So, I mean, it's fantastic. We're in the relationship business. We like to say we build homes and we sell homes, but at the end of the day, we're in a relationship. And that's what it has to be. And that's on the realtor side, and that is on the builder side. And you're exactly right. They got to know you. They got to know that you're there. And that takes trust. I have a program that I teach is 25 times 2 equals 50. So I used to ask people to do the math and it got too hard. So it's real simple. 25 times 2 is 50. You don't need thousands of realtors when you are an on-site agent. If you have 25 who are going to bring you 2 deals a year, that's 50 sales a year starting January. You just know it's going to happen because you've cultivated the relationship with these VIP realtors. And the reverse works for the realtors. If realtors, you want to know how to do business with builders, you don't even need 25. You need maybe 5 or 6 builders that you get to know their process. You get to know their on-site team, right. Maybe 25 on-site agents in the communities that you work the most, and that give you the different, one builder is not going to be a one size fits all. Right. So you've got to know several of them in different price points and different product offerings, and have that relationship with those on-sites to make the appointment with them, get there, register your buyers. If you can't be there with your buyers, because some of our markets are huge, and I get that, you can't be everywhere at the same time, call ahead. Tell the on-site all about your person. Register them 100% so that the on-site agent has the information to be able to help them. Because there's nothing better, and I'm in Tampa, and all of a sudden I got to go over to see Keith in Orlando, and I get a phone call from an on-site agent telling me, "Hey, Kimberly, I just sold I just sold a home with the Smiths over here," and that's fantastic. I'll take that all day long, because the realtor's job is to get them there and then help you get them across the finish line.
Yep.
Those are their 2 roles.
Exactly. Yep.
Well, and I know we've got some resale agents on here. One is Sandy Cole, and she was, commenting just how hard it is right now in this market with so little inventory to really sell anything to anyone. And I think that's part of the reason that the savvy co-op agents are working with builders, because builders, at least you can sell a pre-sale, even if you don't have a spec, and there aren't any, pre-sale, resale homes out there. Hey, that rhymes. That's good, isn't it? But, I think that's why it's so important. If you've cultivated these relationships, during previous times, and you've still got those agents bringing you a pipeline of business during this craziness.
Yeah, and it's the funny thing is, at the end of the day, all builders want to prepare themselves for the future, right. And they want to prepare themselves for everything that's coming their way, and they want to prepare themselves for all the realtors that's coming their way. But the thing that becomes tricky is when you look at price point builders. And so at New Home Star, we represent all portfolio of builders. And so you have builders in the entry level, and then one of our biggest partners goes up to 800, 900,000. So that RPV becomes really important when you talk about 3% of $800,000. And the builder begins to question, okay, did this person come through my online team, or did this come, was the RPV really, were they really responsible for bringing this customer to me? Because that's about to be $24,000, okay? And so that's what goes into the mind of a builder. And the same thing could be said on the flip side, on the entry level, because on the entry level, maybe I've done more. Just because the house is 220 and I'm getting 3%, maybe as a realtor, I've done
And you probably did at that price point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've done $8,000 worth of work, and I'm only getting 3%, and now you want to cut that even more?
Right.
Yeah, then it's a delicate balance. And so builders are trying to figure out the best way. And I saw it in the chat, like, when do builders see the value? Well, that's, I will tell you, Carol, like, they are trying to figure this out.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Like, nobody's seen this before. So builders are literally in discussions trying to figure this out.
And Carol brings up a really good point. So, hey, Carol from Mount Dora, Florida. So
Yeah.
Carol's been around a minute, and he's been on both sides. So I can always appreciate his perspective. But he talks about having the realtors having the relationship and having that buyer broker agreement, which says I've really got a relationship with this buyer because they trust me enough to sign this buyer broker agreement.
Right.
And I've sat down and I've done a full wants and needs analysis with them. And I'm showing them my value as a realtor. I really do have this relationship. So thank you, Carol, for bringing that up. And that's a whole new topic that realtors, if you ever want to know how to get that, I am happy to go into at any point. But yeah, realtors, that's a really good one. So what Mike Hoffmeister says, oh, it popped up here. He doesn't mind paying less, but he agrees that you might spend twice as much time assisting an entry-level buyer through the process, and 3% is not enough. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times that's happened. Melanie, you probably see that all day long.
Oh, in terms of, I'm sorry, I was reading the chat. So you were going to say that again. Which one are you looking at?
And so about how 3% is not enough for that entry-level buyer.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? The retort to that is, bring me some more buyers, right? And again, bring me some more buyers. And again, it's about that partnership, right? I've got 3 sales agents who they've got their top 50 list, right? Their top 50 list of their agents, they're the realtors that they work with. And they can repeatedly call on those agents to say, hey, I've got this home. Bring your buy, go show them that stuff out there, and then come back here and let's close the deal. And again, when you got the relationship, we don't necessarily run into that all the time, right? So what I hear most of is, well, I brought them here because over there they're only paying X, right? So the 3% staying in place has helped us and has helped them continue to sell more. So
what a great segue. So Carol, let's talk about some of the recommendations that we have, because that's a good one right there.
Well, and I guess I'm curious, are any of you all seeing anyone in your markets pay more than 3%? Because I think that's something we've seen a little bit of or heard a little bit about. I can't name anyone that's doing it, but you all know of anyone who's paying more than 3%?
Yes, I have 30 builders who are.
You have 30 builders who are paying more than 3%. So
two my new home specialists. So I should clarify that. So yes,
right.
I've got 30 builders who are paying more to the new home specialist.
Wow.
But I'm seeing it. I've got some big builders who are still paying more, and some of the private builders. I know some of the ones I'm working with, we were trying to get a foothold in the market because they were maybe not as well known. And one of the strategies we encouraged was, hey, why don't you pay a little bit higher?
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the D.R. Horton, their strategy continues to be. So thank you, Meg.
Well, that's
right.
Yeah, Meg Thompson, D.R. Horton pays 4% on select homes, so it's impressive. So yeah, I guess if you've got a hard to sell home, whether it's a resell or whether it's a new home, then offering a little bit more commission is going to get it a little bit more eyes.
Right, I think that's interesting though in this market.
Right.
I think yes, keep the 3% in place, but to pay the additional amount, do we really need to?
Well, maybe you do, depending on where you are, and are you getting the realtor traffic? Are you getting 50-60% of your sales as a co-broke? If you're not, then you do need to make a splash. And now is a time where you can differentiate yourself from those big builders who are cutting and slashing commissions.
True.
Yeah. And I don't mean to step into the builders on the call world, but I will tell you, there is I won't call it a secret society, but what we got to understand is there are conversations that happen within builders that if a builder's paying 4% on commissions right now, and his friendly competitor down the street finds out about it, he's going to call him and say, dude, what are you doing? Like,
what are you thinking, man?
What are you thinking? Like, aren't you selling enough homes? And then they'll have it. So you keep hearing me say about all the things that a builder has to think about
Right.
and deal with, and the pressures that a builder has. One of them is looking out in the market, like you said, Carol, and look at all the momentum the market is already doing. And that's what Melanie's saying is like, it's like all incentives. Incentives have almost gone away. Why?
Right.
Because we don't have to. And so where builders say, okay, if I can sell homes without incentives, where's their natural, like naturally, their mind is going to go, okay, can I cut sales associate commissions? Well, no, I kind of need them. So,
so what else can I
You
cut?
don't necessarily need to still be giving away free pools, okay?
Exactly.
So if you're going to cut somewhere, cut those incentives. You don't need these huge traffic driving incentives. How about price your homes right? You know, you don't, and teach your salespeople how to sell value.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't need to be having these $20,000, $30,000 incentives to drive traffic right now. When you do that and you're cutting real estate commissions, is a real slap in the face.
Yeah.
It
is anyone
is,
seeing incentives right now?
Yes, still.
Still
Shockingly, I have 2 homes that I can release for the next 2 weeks, but I've got a $20,000 traffic driving incentive. None of this makes any sense to me.
No, but then you've got builders that are every third home sold raising the price $5,000.
Well, they're still raising the price that's still happening.
Every two.
Every two.
Yeah,
Okay.
which only increases demand. So we're trying to raise prices to throttle sales, right? To control the sales pace. And raising prices, unless you're going with a full-on $50,000 price increase.
Well, I have one builder that has done that.
Yes, you're not throttling sales. You're actually incentivizing and creating more demand.
Right.
When you go up in small increments. That's actually a strategy I teach builders in normal times, is raise your prices because it increases demand.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from some of our participants. What are you all doing to kind of throttle demand, or are you raising prices to mitigate all these lumber increases? Our builder that just went up $40,000 to $50,000 per home went up not necessarily because they're trying to throttle demand. They're trying to hedge their bets on these 600,000 plus homes that if we raise the prices 40 or 50,000, it's probably not going to slow down demand, but it might keep us from taking a check to the closing table if prices continue to escalate. So that's kind of and we have one builder that we represent that actually just got a marketing update from them yesterday, and they're like, we have stopped sales at this community. We're completely stopping. We're going to give time to catch up. We have this huge, ridiculous pipeline at this other community. I mean, I've got a California client that has 700 people on a waiting list for their next home release. That's 40 homes. We have an Atlanta builder that's got 230 people on a waiting list for their next, I don't know, maybe it's 20 homes. So trying to figure out how to even fairly deal with that demand. We have another builder that just is announcing a community and basically saying that they're going to, work through contracts first come, first serve. So get on, they'll work through the people in the order that they joined their VIP list. So it's crazy.
And it needs to be transparent if you're doing that. I mean, you need to video record. If you've got wait list, if you're doing lotteries, you're doing drawings or anything, you better be recording that. It needs to be totally transparent. You can get into some real fair housing issues right there.
That's what I'm starting to worry about. It's
I'm worried about out there. It is a hot mess,
Kimberly.
whether anybody intends to or not. It totally innocently, you could get into that. So, and yes, and Nathaniel's right. Most builders right now are just trying to keep their head above water, without a doubt. But there are things that we have to do, because remember, an object in motion stays in motion until met with an equal or greater force.
Correct.
And that law of inertia also says that it takes more energy to start going. So if you completely stop sales, if you completely stop anything, it's going to require much more effort to get it started again.
And I guess to that effect, Kimberly, we've seen a couple of builders in this market just decide to put the brakes on marketing. And it's the same thing. You put the brakes on marketing, and maybe you don't need to market the same. Maybe you can market differently. I actually just really sat down and thought about this. So instead of spending so much money on pay-per-click, if you don't need to be driving all those leads, take some of that money and really invest it in your search engine optimization. You know, there's things you should be doing to build brand awareness and to pay it forward so that when the market does slow down again, you've got your building blocks in place. You know, maybe Melanie doesn't, you know, Melanie doesn't need 2,000 pay-per-click leads. What she needs is the right, you know, 100 or 200 that are, you know, those qualified leads. So yeah, it's just lots of different ways to look at all of this.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I think that's true with a VIP program. So Keith or Melanie, are you guys working with builders who have these Realtor VIP programs? Are they keeping them in place?
No.
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 3%
right now. No bonuses, no tiered commission, 3%. This isn't necessarily the market to do that, quite frankly, from an economics perspective. But yeah, we're still selling homes, right? And again, maintaining those relationships. So,
Well, and that's the maintaining the relationships, Kimberly, is that the builders we see that are keeping their Realtor VIP programs are the ones who already had one in place.
Makes sense.
So if they already had one in place, they're saying, well, we don't want to take that away because we're going to need that down the road. So again, it's that Nathaniel just said, it's that fear, like they're trying to say, okay, we don't want to make a move that's going to hurt us in the future. So if we have a VIP Realtor program, let's just keep it and then see where it goes. But I agree with Melanie. Now's not the time to start one.
No, but you know, if you've got one,
unless you're in a market where you need to.
Program that you have.
Yeah. Unless you are one of those builders who isn't. Larry just chimed in from Nolan. So, hey, Larry, good to see you. It's been a minute since we've talked, but Larry said they're waiting until they can adjust the price before they offer the home for sale. So they're getting it up to drywall, then they have a better idea of what that price is. So they're doing more speculation building. And a lot of builders are choosing to do that, which I think makes a lot of sense. So thank you for chiming that in. Again, not every builder's in a position where they're throttling sales. So some smaller builders, some people who are in those C and D markets are needing, they want to get a bigger piece of this pie. They've got home sites available. So if you need more, a VIP program could be a really easy way to cut through the clutter and get, when I go in to work with a builder, one of the easiest, the low hanging fruit is those Realtor sales. Right. So if you need to increase it, you're going to have better quality traffic. And you're paying only for performance. So let the Realtors pay for the marketing, let them drive traffic to them. Instead of you spending all that money on that end, you got to do both. You definitely have to do both. But, and then reward that right behavior with those Realtors and cultivate those relationships using that VIP program. So, and yeah, maybe it doesn't have to be as elaborate a VIP program in today's market. But Dr. Dietz at the National Association of Home Builders says 2021 is actually going to look like a receding market because builders sold so much for 2020.
Right.
And now they're still working through that backlog and trying to build those homes. In some cases, they've run out of land or they're scrambling to redevelop land. So they're still selling and it's still an up market, but it could at the end of the reporting periods look like it's less.
Right.
Because of what we're able to deliver.
Well, the closings is a lagging indicator. So, you know, we have all these pendings, but what we really count at the end of the day is those closings. And yeah, we've got one builder client that's now starting to look at literally anything they sell moving forward will close in 2022. Wow.
Yeah, I've got quite a few who are on that program.
It's kind of crazy to think.
Wow. Yeah. So VIP programs, if you're in a market to do that, if you need to differentiate yourself and you need to establish more, if you have those Realtor relationships, no, I totally agree. Now is not the time. But I wouldn't be cutting them again, because that's just maintain, find other ways. Realtor education. Now every builder out there just dropped their jaw and they went, you want me to do something else? Are you
But they're
kidding?
still doing it in this market. I mean, we've got people still doing CE classes, and yeah, no, that's still pretty hot in Atlanta.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
My team puts together their individual marketing plan for each month, and they make sure that they have a CE class for their community.
So
every
see,
single month.
Kimberly,
Yep.
yay.
That's yay.
We're not all cutting everything, but you think
No.
about CE classes, those are not, they're not that expensive. They're not that much work. It's a great outreach. And if you're doing them monthly or every other month, and if you're, again, a big builder like Rockhaven, you can kind of spread that out. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Just
Mhm.
include some how to work with a builder as part of that education.
Mhm.
Teach the realtors how to work with you, how
Yeah.
to be a partner. They want to learn. I had 42 who were quite anxious to learn how to do it 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
Proper communication, just summarizing some of the things we've talked about.
Yep.
Make sure your pipeline management is happening and happening well. Have a system in place for that. And
Yep.
just because you're busy, don't throw that system out.
Right.
So CRM, automated messaging, videos. You can create a video for frame stage. You can create a video for drywall with those reminders, and you can send that video out. I mean, there's a million tools out there, and if you don't know what they are, Carol and I are happy to help you.
Right. Or you can, last month we talked to Dave Betcher with Atlas RTX, and he even talked about how chatbots can do some of the follow up for you. I thought that was just fascinating. So he can help you as well, or you can review last month's webinar.
Yes. And sending those text messages out can go a long way, but don't shortcut actual conversations and answering the phone. We need to talk.
What?
more.
We're supposed to answer the phone.
I know, it's crazy. I'm crazy today.
What are you
So
thinking?
what else? Melanie, let's go ahead and give us your final thoughts here.
Oh, no, I was just saying that with regard to the follow-up, we have one team that makes sure that they FaceTime all of their clients. They set a FaceTime appointment every week, and because several of their clients live out of state, right? And so they make sure they're on the calendar and they FaceTime the home. And again, it goes back to making sure that we've got open and transparent communication and timely and consistent communication.
Amen.
And as we see these build time frames extend, the more and more we do that, the more and more they will stay engaged and they'll stay connected, and they'll trust that we're going to do the right thing to get the home done, get them in their home.
It's all about that customer experience.
Yep.
Yes. Keith, what are your closing thoughts on us?
Yeah, I would just say that number one, like this is a hard conversation only because everybody is trying to protect their business. The builder's trying to protect his business and her business to make sure that it's going to be here. The real estate agent is trying to protect their business because they have a system that they want to employ. And then we're dealing with this market nobody's seen before. And so everybody's trying to figure this out, and we just got to understand, and it's too much for this conversation, but what builders are starting to hit the ceiling, and why this conversation is coming up now is you can't raise prices too much more, because 6 months from now, you're going to have to do this panel on appraisal issues.
Right. We're already needing to. Yeah.
That is a freight train coming our way, because of how quickly all these prices have gone up, and builders know that inside, and so they're trying to figure out ways how to protect their business so they don't get to closing 6 months and where the customers are asking them to take $30,000 off the price.
Right.
And then they go, well, there's my whole margin. How am I going to stay in business? And then the real estate agents are like, hey, you need to continue to build homes so that way we can bring our clients to you. And then they're still trying to figure out, how do I put my client's home up for sale when it's going to sell in 24 hours?
Right.
So this whole thing is everybody trying to protect their business. And the only way we're going to do this is if we work together. And that's where I was saying, make sure your builder, as a real estate agent, those builders should know who you are. Because if we're in this together, we can all make it through together. And that's how you're going to win.
With the relationship.
You're here. I give that a thumbs up.
I do too. Yeah, you guys are amazing. And this is something, obviously, we could go on for hours, and it's barely the tip of the iceberg. But I applaud both of you for coming on to have this very difficult conversation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you to all the people who signed up and are on the call. We will have the recording and we will get it out to you. So we will see you in April 16th. Is that the date? I think
sounds
so.
good. That's close.
Close enough. Check it out.
All
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Happy
again.
Friday.
Take care.
Keep selling.